Hello friends, today let's have a look at how plants are diversified. Plants are multicellular eukaryotes of the kingdom Plantae. Green plants have cell walls with cellulose and characteristically obtain most of their energy from sunlight via photosynthesis by primary chloroplast. Their chloroplast contain chlorophyll A and B, which gives them their green color. Some plants are parasitic and have lost the ability to produce normal amounts of chlorophyll or to photosynthesize. Plants are also characterized by an alternation of generations. Plants have multicellular haploid and multicellular diploid stages in their life cycle. Gametes develop in the multicellular haploid gametophyte. Fertilization gives rise to a multicellular diploid sporophyte, which produces haploid spores via meiosis. This type of life cycle is called a haplodiplontic life cycle. It differs from our own diplontic life cycle, in which only the gametes are in the haploid state. In haplodiplontic life cycles, gametes are not the direct result of a meiotic division. Diploid sporophyte cells undergo meiosis to produce haploid spores. Each spore goes through mitotic division to yield a multicellular haploid gametophyte. Mitotic divisions within the gametophyte are required to produce the gametes. The diploid sporophyte results from the fusion of two gametes. Among the Plantae, the gametophytes and sporophytes of a species have distinct morphologies. Plant kingdom is divided into two parts: Cryptogamy, which includes non-flowering and non-seed-bearing plants, as well as Phanerogamy, which includes flowering and seed-bearing plants. Cryptogamy further divides into three parts: Thallophyta, which include algae and fungi, Bryophyta, as well as Pteridophyta. Phanerogamy is divided into two parts: Gymnosperm, Angiosperm, which further divide into monocot and dicot plant. Let us have a look at algae. Algae are chlorophyll-bearing, simple, thalloid, autotrophic and largely aquatic, both freshwater and marine organism. They occur also in a variety of other habitats like moist stones, soils and wood. Some of them also occur in association with fungi, that is lichen, and animals on sloth bear. The form and size of algae is highly variable. The size ranges from the microscopic unicellular forms like Chlamydomonas to colonial forms like Volvox and to the filamentous forms like Ulothrix and Spirogyra. The algae reproduce by vegetative, asexual and sexual methods. Vegetative reproduction is by fragmentation. Each fragment develops into a thallus. Asexual reproduction is by the production of different types of spores, the most common being the zoospores. They are flagellated, that is motile, and on germination gives rise to the new plants. Sexual reproduction takes place through fusion of two gametes. These gametes can be flagellated and similar in size as in Chlamydomonas, or non-flagellated but similar in size as in Spirogyra. Such reproduction is called isogamous. Fusion of two gametes dissimilar in size, as in some species of Chlamydomonas, is termed as anisogamous. Fusion between one large non-motile, that is static, female gamete and a smaller motile male gamete is termed oogamous. For example, Volvox and Fucus. Let us have a look at the importance of algae. Algae are useful to men in a variety of ways. At least a half of the total carbon dioxide fixation on Earth is carried out by algae through photosynthesis. Being photosynthetic, they increase the level of dissolved oxygen in their immediate environment. Many species of Porifera, Laminaria and Sargassum are among the 70 species of marine algae used as food. Agar-agar, one of the commercial products obtained from Gelidium and Gracilaria, are used to grow microbes and in preparations of ice creams and jellies. Let us have a look at fungi. The fungi are eukaryotic and have membrane-bound cellular organelles and nuclei. Fungi are achlorophylous as they have no blasters of any kind. The hyphae of the fungi are of two general kinds. Some are septate and are divided by septa that separate by the cylindrical hyphae into cells. In the non-septate fungi, the hypha is one long tube permitting the cytoplasm to flow throughout the length of the filament. Mitosis occurs in the non-septate hyphae, but there is no accompanying cytokinesis division of the cytoplasm, so the hyphae are multinucleate. A few fungi called the general name yeast are single-celled and non-filamentous much of the time. The fungi are all heterotropic. The fungi secrete digestive enzymes into their surroundings, in effect digesting their food outside of their bodies. Then they can absorb the smaller particles and incorporate the nutrients into their own cells. Some are parasites obtaining nutrients from living organisms, but more are saprobes that digest and recycle materials from dead organisms. Fungal hyphae, like the roots of vascular plants, grow primarily at the tip, elongating and branching repeatedly. The filaments are in direct contact with their environment, obviating in the fungal body the need for separate absorbing and conducting systems. Materials readily pass through the plasma membrane and cell walls of the hyphae along their entire length, although the most active metabolism and material exchange is concentrated near the hyphal tips. Most of the cytoplasm is located at the tips also. Fungi store energy in the form of glycogen. Fungi can reproduce both sexually as well as asexually. In sexual reproduction, genetic material from separate male and female partners take part and spore from each individual take part in asexual reproduction. Some fungi appear to reproduce only asexually, while many fungi can reproduce both sexually as well as asexually. Let us have a look at the importance of fungi. Fungi, together with bacteria, are responsible for most of the recycling, which returns dead material to the soil in a form in which it can be reused. Without fungi, these recycling activities would be reduced. Fungi are vitally important for the good growth of most plants, including crops, through the development of mycorrhizal associations. Fungi are also important directly as food for humans. Many mushrooms are edible and different species are cultivated for sale worldwide. Fungi constitute the largest number of plant pathogens and are responsible for a range of serious plants and animal disease. Let us have a look at bryophyta. Bryophytes include the various mosses and liverworts that are found commonly growing in moist shaded areas in the hills. Bryophytes are also called amphibians of the plant kingdom because these plants can live in soil but are dependent on water for sexual reproduction. They usually occur in damp, humid and shaded localities. They play an important role in plant succession on bare rocks or soil. The plant body of bryophytes is more differentiated than that of algae. It is thallus-like and prostrate or erect and attached to the substratum by unicellular or multicellular rhizoids. They lack true roots, stem or leaves. They may possess root-like, leaf-like or stem-like structures. The main plant body of the bryophyte is haploid. It produces gametes, hence is called a gametophyte. The sex organs in bryophytes are multicellular. The male sex organ is called antheridium. They produce biflagellate antherozoids. The female sex organ called archegonium is flask-shaped and produces a single egg. The antherozoids are released into water where they come in contact with archegonium. An antherozoid fuses with the egg to produce the zygote. Zygotes do not undergo reduction division immediately. They produce a multicellular body called a sporophyte. The sporophyte is not free-living but attached to the photosynthetic gametophyte and derives nourishment from it. Some cells of the sporophyte undergo reduction division, that is meiosis, to produce haploid spores. These spores germinate to produce gametophyte. Now, let us see the importance of bryophytes. Some mosses provide food for herbaceous mammals, birds and other animals. Species of sphagnum, a moss, provide peat that have long been used as fuel and as packing material for transshipment of living material because of their capacity to hold water. Mosses along with lichens are the first organisms to colonize rocks and hence are of great ecological importance. They decompose rocks, making the substrate suitable for the growth of higher plants. Since mosses form dense mats on the soil, they reduce the impact of falling rain and prevent soil erosion. The bryophytes are divided into liverworts and mosses. Let us have a look at Pteridophyta. Pteridophytes are vascular plants and have leaves, roots and sometimes true stems, and tree ferns have full trunk. Many ferns from tropical rain forest are epiphytes, which means they only grow on other plant species. Their water comes from the damp air or from rainfall running down branches and tree trunks. There are also some purely aquatic ferns such as water fern or water velvet, that is Salvinia molesta, and mosquito ferns like Azolla. Pteridophytes also show a transition from simple to complex leaves. Some pteridophyte groups, including the club mosses and horsetails, have simple microphyllous leaves, while Pteris, Nephrolaps and Asplenium have megaphyllous leaves. They reproduce and disperse via spores. Because they produce neither flowers nor seeds, they are referred to as cryptogams. Pteridophytes range greatly in size. All pteridophytes have a true alternation of generations in which a dominant sporophyte generation produces spores through meiosis and a free-living gametophyte generation forms gametes, that is eggs and sperms, by mitosis. Ferns can be used to illustrate the life cycle stages common to all pteridophytes. On maturity, the undersides of fern leaves produce clusters of capsular structures called sporangia, within which meiosis forms the haploid spores. These spores are released from the sporangia often when dry wind currents causes the active snapping of the capsules, lofting the spores into the air. Let us see the importance of pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are used in the horticulture. The different species of Selaginella are grown as the garden plants. Club mosses are used as a dry industrial lubricant since its microscopic spore contains non-volatile oils. The spores are also used as flash powder in photography and also as fingerprint powder in forensic investigation. Some pteridophytes are eaten as food. There are tiny floating ferns used as green fertilizer in rice paddies because they partner with bacteria that pull nitrogen from the air and fix it in chemical compounds that other plants can use. Have a look at gymnosperm. The gymnosperms are a group of seed-producing plants. The term gymnosperm comes from the Greek composite word which means naked seeds. Gymnosperm act as a connecting link between pteridophytes and angiosperm. Most of gymnosperms are evergreen plants with long leaves, thin and needle-like leaves which are different from other plant leaves. Plants possess well-developed root system. It is believed that most of it was ancient seed plants that appeared in Devonian period and ancestors of ferns. They do not have an outer covering or shell around their seeds. They do not produce flowers. Gymnosperm seeds develop either on the surface of scales or leaves, often modified to form cones, or at the end of short stalks as in ginkgo. Gymnosperms, like all vascular plants, have a sporophyte dominating life cycle. The gametophyte is relatively short-lived. Two spore types, microspores and megaspores, are typically produced in male cones and female cones respectively. Let us now see the importance of gymnosperm. Many gymnosperm species are very significant, just like timber trees, which are used for construction. Some are used for making furnitures such as tables, chairs, etc. Some are good sources of food and medicinal products. Have a look at angiosperm. Angiosperm are seed-producing plants like the gymnosperm and can be distinguished from the gymnosperm by characteristics including flowers, endosperms within the seeds and the production of fruits that contain the seeds. The flowers, which are the reproductive organs of flowering plants, are the most remarkable feature distinguishing them from the other seed plants. Double fertilization refers to a process in which two sperm cells fertilize cells in the ovary. The ovary now will develop into fruit and the ovule will develop into seed. As the development of embryo and endosperm proceeds within the embryo sac, the sac wall enlarges and combines with the nucellus and the integument to form the seed coat. The ovary wall develops to form the fruit or pericarp, whose form is closely associated with the manner of distribution of the seed. Angiosperms divide into two parts: monocotyledon, also known as monocots, in which seedlings have one cotyledon, as well as dicotyledon known as dicots, in which seedling have 2 cotyledons. Let us see the importance of angiosperms. Agriculture is almost entirely dependent on angiosperms, which provide virtually all plant-based foods and also provide a significant amount of livestock feed. Flowering plants also provide economic resources in the form of wood, paper, fiber, that is cotton, flax and hemp among others, medicines like digitalis, camphor, decorative and landscaping plants and many other sources. Let us summarize the program. Plants are multicellular eukaryotes. Plants obtain their energy from the sunlight via photosynthesis by chloroplast. Plants are characterized by alteration of generation, although asexual reproduction is common. Plants have multicellular haploid and multicellular diploid stages in their life cycle. Plant kingdom divides into 2 parts, cryptogamy and phanerogamy. Cryptogamy further divides into 3 parts, that is Thallophyta, which includes algae and fungi, Bryophyta as well as Pteridophyta. Phanerogamy divides into 2 parts, that is gymnosperms and angiosperms, which further divide into monocot and dicot plant. And this is how the plant kingdom is diversified.